Just make sure everything's working as it should be. I'm always concerned that everything is working correctly. That seems to be working correctly. Good. Oh, hi, Jazz. So we've got probably two more parts to Richard Leo's testimony, being questioned by. Sorry, let's use the proper word of direct examination of Steve Drizzen of Dr. Leo, and so. As I say, there's about 2 parts to go, hopefully, and then we'll get the cross-examination and redirect, and then we'll have well, there's not much point in looking at Larry White's testimony because he actually submitted an affidavit, and that's not actually gone over. It was submitted to Jerome Fox. And there was just one interesting passage with regard to Lawrence White, obviously who we see in Making a Murderer, first series, talking about Brendan's so-called confession. And it's interesting that both him and Lawrence White and Dr. Leo have the same sort of respect for neutrality, in that they say that they don't give the what they call the ultimate, they don't give their own ultimate opinion. That's the word I'm looking for. They leave it up to the court. In fact, they're not allowed to sort of give their opinion on one aspect of the, and we'll look at that later on. So we've nearly finished Dr. Leo. So let's just jump straight in. I think I've got it ready, set to go. And if I come down here, yep, that's it there. Got some nice guitar music here, classical guitar music, but I think we'll stick with the testimony here. So Crater Face butts in, Your Honour. I'm going to renew the objection and ask that the court take this evidence on conditional relevance, because until it's established that the doctor's suggestions were, in fact, taken the way that he's now testifying, then all of this is speculation. Jerome Fox, well, I don't think it really goes to the admissibility of the evidence. I do think, though, it goes to the weight. So I'm going to overrule your objection. Steve, thank you, Your Honour. Is there anything wrong with linking a statement like, I'll go bat for you, with honesty on Brendan's part? Dr. Leo, I think it's creating a statement like that is creating a quid pro quo like deal or expectation. If you say what I want to hear, what I regard as honest, what I regard as truthful, then I will help you out. The idea of going to bat for you, again, you've seen this many times in interrogations, that I will be your advocate. I will try to negotiate something better for you. The implication is clear in a murder interrogation. Question, have you ever seen interrogations where detectives tell a suspect that the truth or honesty will set you free? Answer, yes. Okay, is that a tactic that interrogators are trained to use with suspects? Answer, I'm not aware that they're trained to use that tactic. No. Okay. And how would you describe that tactic? Well, I would describe that tactic as an inducement. In anything other than the context of quoting religious scripture, I would describe that as a systemic or high-end inducement if it creates the expectation that you will go free if you tell them what they regard as the truth. Question. Now, later on in this interrogation, Bert tells Brendan that we can't make any promises to you. Correct. Okay, you remember that? Yes. Okay. Doesn't that allay your concerns that these interrogations are psychologically coercive? Okay. So doesn't that allay your concerns that so does that not go against your concerns about the coercive nature of the interrogations? Answer, no, it doesn't. And you frequently see this. The detectives can talk out of both sides of their mouth and other parts of their body. They're multi-talented. They say, on the one hand, we're not making you any promises, and they may, in their mind, actually believe that. But again, this goes back to pragmatic implication and minimization and communicating implied promises. So they may be saying we're not making any explicit promises, and they may not be realizing that they are conveying implicitly the same promise or negotiation or deal. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Lee. I want to play clips 14, 15, and 16, which are all on page 3, and ask you to feel that maybe Mark and I both feel that maybe there's some, or that you could tell us that you may have held back for whatever reasons. And I want to assure you that Mark and I both are in your corner. We're on your side. Clip 15. One of the best ways to prove to us, or more importantly, the court and stuff, is that you tell the whole truth. Don't leave anything out. Don't make anything up because you're trying to cover something up a little. And even if those statements are against your own interest, know what I mean? That makes you, might make you look a little bad, or make you look like you were more involved than you want to be looked at. It's hard to do, but it's good from that, I think, from that point of view, to say, hey, they hope to hell you're telling the truth, because now you're given the whole story. You're getting given points where it didn't look real good for you either. Clip 16. As Mark and I looked at the tapes, looked at the notes, and it's real obvious there's some places where some things were left out, or maybe changed just a bit to maybe looking at yourself to protect yourself a little. From what I'm seeing, even if I fill those in, I'm thinking you're all right. Okay? You don't have to worry about things. We're there for you. And we know that what Stephen did. And we know kind of what happened to you and what he did. We just need to hear the whole story from you. As soon as we get that, we're comfortable with that. I think you're going to be a lot more comfortable with that. It's going to be a lot easier on you down the road if this goes to trial and stuff like that. Steve. Okay, Richard. What's the significance of these statements? Answer. Well, number 14. They say that both of them, one of them says they're both in his corner. Again, suggesting they're his advocates. They want to help him in his situation, and in implying eliminate or reduce his culpability. In number 15, they link this to the courts, right? The Fassbender talks about how the courts want the whole truth, again, implying that there's a benefit at that stage of the proceeding. for him given an account that they regard as truthful. In 16, in my opinion, has the most here in terms of inducement. They talk about protecting himself, implying that he'll avoid harm. Okay. They also talk about, again, reinforcing the message that they are there for him, right? That they're going to be his advocates. This idea that they're on his side. They also, I think, make more explicit reference than in the prior two ones to the long-term consequence. It'll be easier down the road, suggesting again lesser or no liability or culpability, especially when they link it to if this goes to trial. The image of a trial being that that's where somebody might get charged with a crime or avoid getting charged if he's not the one who goes on to trial. So again, these are all inducements that convey and benefit and help, and they're on his side to help him achieve reduced culpability or liability. Question: and do you think that telling a teenager like Brendan that he will be all right, even if he implicates himself further in the crime, is a tactic that increases the risk of an unreliable confession? Answer: yes. Question: why? Answer: because if somebody is being repeatedly accused and pressurized to say something, I keep saying no, 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 and then they are told that that's not the truth, and they're not being honest. And so truth and honesty become code words for what the interrogator wants to hear. And then they are told there's no consequence for you telling us what we want to hear, especially in the context of something as serious as a murder interrogation. And the incentive after a while can easily become, I'll tell them what they want to hear. They'll stop badgering me or accusing me. There's no consequence. I'm not liable for any criminal activity. Question: in clip number 16, investigator Ernie says, from what I'm seeing, even if I filled those in, and that refers to some blanks. I'm thinking you're all right. Okay. You don't have to worry about things. Question: do you see that? Yes. Question: statement in the context of clip 16. Yes. Let's carry on. Excuse this minute. There we go. So, carrying on. What is problematic, if anything, about that? Answer: the idea that you'll be all right and that you won't have anything to worry about, I think conveys reasonably, through any reasonable interpretation, it conveys that you're not going to be, or you may not be, criminally charged for this. You're going to be okay, suggest you're out of it. And you don't need to worry about it, suggest you don't need to worry about being charged or prosecuted or convicted. Okay, I'd like to play clips 33, 35, and 36. These are on page 5. Page 5 is clip 13, 6 is 35, 6 is clip 36. Steve says, Alex, please play. Quote: honesty here, Brendan, is the thing that's going to help you. Okay, no matter what you did, we can work through that. Okay, we can't make any promises, but this is clip 13, Alex. I have a question. Sure. How long is this going to take? It shouldn't take a whole lot longer. You think I can get there before 129? Probably not. Well, what's at 129? Well, I had a project due in 6th hour. Clip 35. Okay. Am I going to be at school before school ends? Probably not. We're at 2:30 already. School's over at what? 3? What time will this be done? Well, we're pretty much done. We have a couple follow-up things to ask you, but it's pretty much done. Okay. You do understand that you're under arrest now. So could I call my girlfriend and tell her that? We'll give you an opportunity to do that, okay? Do you kind of, after telling us what you told us, kind of figured this was coming? Yeah. We don't know that at this time. So Steve carries on. Dr. Leo. Brendan Dassey has just confessed to raping and murdering Teresa Holbach, and he's asking his interrogators if he can go back to school to do a school project. What, if any, significance did you attach to this request? Attorney Fallon. Objection. Speculation. The court sustained. Question. Did you rely on this passage in any way informing any of your opinions in this case? Yes, I relied on this and many other passages. Okay, how did you rely on this passage? Well, in my opinion, he didn't understand that he was confessed. Renew the objection. The court. Well, I think it's expert opinion. It's his opinion. He can give it. Go ahead. Shut up, crater face. Nobody wants to listen to you. Oh, Steve, Dr. Leo carries on. In my opinion, he doesn't understand that he confessed to a rape and a murder, or the consequences of that. And in my opinion, that's a product of the interrogation techniques that were used to elicit those confessions. Dr. Leo, I want to focus now on a brief clip that occurs when Brendan Dassey's mother, Barb, is brought into the room and the investigators, Bert and Ernie, leave the room for the first time. This would be page 6. You're going to juvie. That's where you're going, to juvie jail, about 45 minutes away. What happens if he says, like, his story's different, but he says he admits to doing it? What do you mean? Like, if he says it's different, like, I never did nothing or something. Did you? Huh? Not really. What do you mean, not really? They got into my head, huh? I didn't say anything. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, Brendan? Question. What significance do you attach to Brendan's statements in this clip, Dr. Leo? Answer. Well, he's saying that he wasn't really involved. And when pressed about that, they got to my head, suggests to me that they influenced him in how they interrogated him. Got to my head makes it sound like he was manipulated, and not really makes it sound like he's denying that he did this. Does the fact that Brendan chose this moment, when there are no officers in the room to make these statements, have any significance to you? Yes, in that it, once removed from the pressure of interrogators and interrogation, it's easier to make these kinds of statements. Have you seen other cases and situations where children recant their statements to their mothers when left alone with their parents? Yes. Okay. When Brendan is asked to explain by his mother what he meant by the words "not really," he tells his mother, quote, "They got to my head." Okay. In your experience, do suspects often have a difficult time explaining the reasons why they confessed falsely to crimes? Yes, some suspects do. And what is that based on? Well, it's based on my observations of cases in which they've been asked after the fact in interviews by me or others, or a relative or guardian or friend comes in and they talk to them, and they're being recorded and asked what they said and why they said it. Now, Richard, based on your training and your experience, your research, your studies into police interrogation and psychological coercion, do you have an opinion as to whether the techniques that we've shown you here today, used by the officers in the case on February 27th and March the 1st, were psychologically coercive? Answer, yes. It's my opinion that they were, for the reasons that I have stated. Okay, before we turn to the question of the reliability of these statements, Dr. Leo, did you also review a videotape and a transcript of a conversation between Michael O'Kelly and Brendan Dassey on May 12th? I did. Okay. And without showing you this entire conversation, would you call this an interview or an interrogation? Fallon again. Objection, relevance, and materiality, and its relationship, if at all, to a statement that occurred 6 weeks before. It is, I'm sorry, go ahead. It is our position, as we've made clear over and over again, that it is directly relevant to the voluntariness and the reliability of statements that Brendan made following that May 12th interview, including the telephone confessions of May the 13th. And Your Honour was deprived of seeing the Michael O'Kelly video when you ruled on the voluntariness of those statements. And Dr. Leo should be entitled to weigh in on whether or not those statements were the product of Mr. O'Kelly's interrogation. Court will overrule the objection. Let's hold it there, because that's another significant part of the testimony by Richard Leo. And just to let you know, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a sort of backstage chat with the HOD to try and sort out his StreamYard for Sunday afternoon, well, Sunday evening UK time, Sunday afternoon over there in Manitrock when he launches this Room 101. So I'm going to have a chat with him. But I've nearly finished Richard Leo's book, which has been excellent. And as I say, when I read the bit that Lawrence Wright, his small bit of testimony on, I think it's day 3 or day 4 of this hearing, it raised certain questions. And I must admit, I do like exchanging emails with Dr. Leo, because he gets back to me straight away with some really interesting answers. And so so I've got a couple of emails that Richard Leo sent me. And also, I basically asked the same questions of Jerry Buting, and he got back to me. So I've got a couple of emails from these guys. What were they concerning? First of all, as I say, expert testimony, the fact that these experts don't give their opinion on what's considered the sort of the ultimate question, which confused me, I must admit. Although I would say that if you've got experts coming forward and giving testimony, and they're doing it in the most neutral way possible, that must surely be far better than some of the state experts that get up and they spew the biggest load of rubbish and garbage you've ever imagined, kind of completely biased against the defendants. Then I think that's a very good thing. But the other two questions, in his book, Dr. Leo does say that he thinks that police do not sort of induce false confessions and wrongful convictions through malice. and I really did want to sort of query him about that one, you know. And he also referred to the fact that a certain amount of fraudulent knowledge, you know, bluffing, lying, is okay. And so anyway, we'll get onto those. We'll look forward to those, and I'll get all the, if you like, the slides prepared. I've got a couple. I've got them all put aside, ready to do that. But let's get through this testimony of Richard Leo, direct examination, and then we'll move on to them. Okay. Wow, I think we've got a whole load of people here in the chat. JD, Darkside, Sean, Julie, Linda, Darkside, Linda, JD, Julie, JD, Jazz, Julie, and Ronald Cass, Sean, Sheila, hi there, JD. Yeah, there is a bit of a new YouTube layout, isn't there? On my my phone, for example, my notifications have shifted and everything's gone different places. So sometimes not easy trying to keep track of it. And a lot of people say, you know, well, it says there's this many comments, and yet there's only so many showing. I have done a bit of research on that. One thing that does happen sometimes is the YouTube themselves will sort of remove comments if they think it's some sort of form of spam, as they call it, you know. So there have been examples of where I've got a notification of a message, and when you go to click on it, it's not there. So YouTube themselves have removed it, which is great. Anyway, okay, I think that'll do fine for today, and we'll see you all. See you all on the flip side. We'll get another, hopefully, one more session of, you know, we'll be done in one more session of Dr. Leo's testimony, and then I'll share a couple of emails that I've exchanged with Richard Leo and Jerry Buting. Okay, catch you all again soon. Bye for now.